Good morning, good evening, good night. Um, this is part of the New Orleans live role playing. Tonight we find ourselves following John Granite, who has Chris Hanash in a bag, and they are stalking through the night. John is looking for some food for them, for the both, for a discussion that will hopefully lead to more avenues for Chris. Depending on the answers, it may end in an untimely demise. So, John will be kind of slinking, using stealth, but, no powers are really necessary. Kind of looking between alleyways. At one point, he'll probably jump, glide off a couple things to get up to a rooftop where he'll tell the bag to stay quiet. Do you mind to do a roll for me?
I can do your dice.
Sweet.
What's your pool?
5 dice for hunting.
5 dice for hunting. You have no domain or herd?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, that's good. It's 3.
Great. So he'll find, an appropriate person, perhaps a gangbanger who's just made a deal or something, and he's unloaded a little of what he has, and he's going back into the alleyway to capture the money. John will watch him as he comes in and make sure that, looking left and right, that no one's there, and he will jump from the rooftop and land on the mortal with his full weight, doing a dex brawl attack on him. And that will be 11 dice.
Five successes unless you have a specialty.
Nope. So I'm guessing the mortal is probably seemingly surprised as he takes. I don't know. I think the guy probably would have some stamina, so he can soak because it's just bashing.
Oh, well, that's just a hit.
Oh, that's just a hit. That's fair.
Yeah. So you've got your strength plus 4 dice, plus any potence you have.
Yeah. So that'll be 8 dice of damage.
8 dice of damage. Look at all the ones.
I'm good at them. But he takes 2, so, I assume that he'll probably have the ability to soak 2. So we'll give him like 2 dice to soak.
Which he fails utterly, and seeing as his stamina is 2 and he's taken 2 bashing, he is knocked unconscious.
So, John, being the brutal killer that he is, and seeing this person not as very useful to society, will go ahead and just snap his neck. John will jump back up to his spot and grab his bag and glide back to the ground, where he will then go over to looking around to make sure no one's there, kind of go over to a sewer main and open the lid and drag the 2 things down with him.
They land with a hefty thud and splash as the trickle of the sewers.
Yeah, obviously Chris doesn't have to be a genius to tell from the smell and the thud that they've probably gone into the sewers. John throws the body up on the side, and then he'll climb the ladder to put the lid back on. And then he'll just be kind of going hunched through the sewers, talking to Chris. What do you want?
I'm still staked at the moment.
No, I don't think we put the stake back in you. We just put you back in the bag.
Oh, put me back in the bag. Alright, okay.
Yeah, you could listen during the conversation.
Well, I could listen when I was staked as well, was the only thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to swing staked. But if that's how you're rolling it. What do I want? I want this nightmare to be over. We can't all get what we want. So we've got to do what we have to.
Yes, I understand the immediate. You want to not have your body weakened and you want to be out of the situation. But in the long term, I need honesty. What do you want?
To be honest, I haven't really thought about it. What I wanted was, and he sort of looks away and sort of leans himself up, trying to move his inarticulate legs, was simple life, family. Once again, all denied. Now it's not about what I want, it's about what needs to be done. And these things, these serpents, these snakes as you call them, they need to pay.
Yes. Something you need to differentiate is that not all snakes are the same. And you'll kind of come to like one of the big culverts in there, and John will kind of unceremoniously just dump you out of the bag onto like a side catwalk.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see his fangs have been in this person's throat while you were talking, and he'll kind of unceremoniously throw you the body of a man that's clearly dead.
I thought we couldn't drink from dead bodies.
Not long deceased. This man's recently dead. The blood's still warm.
He looks at it, and he realizes his own hunger. His beast curls within him, and without a hesitation of doubt, he'll plunge his fangs into the man, gorging the precious vitae with sickening, slurping sounds. He tries to draw every drop from the man's soon-to-be caustic veins.
There will be 4 left, so you'll be at 9 blood. John will kind of nod and sit down next to you.
It takes him a little while to compose himself after the inrush of vitae. The sensation of feeding is obviously a difficult one to master entirely. This man seems very governed by not his emotions, but certainly his sort of mental state, and he hasn't fed this well in quite a while.
John almost seems childish in the way that he's sitting. He has his knees curled up to his chest and his hands around the front of his shins.
Question is, what do you want? Do you have a capacity of wanting? I saw another one of you. I've heard of how you're made.
Who?
Lana. They called her.
One of his free hands will swing away and slam into the brick, and it will crack.
He'll jump, obviously a little shocked by the reaction. From his previous experience, he showed no emotion. But he sees this is a very different creature from the one he met, not only in appearance, but certainly in temperament.
I keep a low profile in the domain. I'm recognized as a Nosferatu, a clan of hideous beings. However, the one that you know as Alana is a gargoyle. And she was made in a most foul fashion. Unwillingly, a kindred was taken and transformed into another creature, a willing slave of the Tremere. I am no such creature.
So the Tremere did this. I mean, I pretty much got the inkling. The Nosferatu primogen wasn't exactly... Well, in all fairness, I was a little shocked by the reaction. From what the Toreador told me, I didn't catch her name, that they were kidnapping Toreador off the street and turning them into whatever that was. And the other kindred's reaction was to dance with her and give her flowers. I got out of there pretty quickly after that. I suspect that this Ivanov had some sort of similar designs for me.
I don't know of what designs they have. However, I would assume that if they're branching out from the normal things that they make gargoyles from, that other clans would not be far down the list. Yes, I am protected by the Nosferatu. I am not one. I am a gargoyle. I have been around almost from the beginning of when my kind was made. And I have been a slave for hundreds and hundreds of years. Was a slave. I am no longer one.
So how did you free yourself?
I chanced upon a good regent in the Tremere. It's part of their clan structure, kind of on a local level, the one in charge. He educated me, and I assisted him in whatever he wished. He treated me as a being worthy of respect rather than a slave only worthy of torture. And so he knew at a point through his context that his time was done, that the Tremere were coming to end him. And in an act of defiance, he warned me before they could get to myself and him. And so I fled.
What happened to the guy?
I have no idea. I assume he's dead, but I never looked back. I've spent time traveling. Spent some time in Mexico, which is a terrible place, just as an FYI.
Don't like tequila? Don't like tequila?
No, there's a fanatical group of kindred known as the Sabbat, who it's really more of a religious death cult.
Yeah, people keep talking about them.
Yes. The problem is that they view mortals as nothing but cattle of no value, and they also have the distinct pleasure in consuming the souls of other vampires.
Consume what? Pardon? Consume the souls?
Yes, it's a terribly heinous act that they use to incite fervor in their men. They the rush of diablerizing someone is noted as very intense. It's not something that I've ever experienced myself, but as I understand it, it's a rushing feeling. However, it's something that you lose yourself in, something that will eventually consume you and make you lose your mind.
Like a drug?
Yes, the worst kind of drug. It's not a matter of being in a psychosis. The other being inside you that makes you thirst for blood, that makes you run away from fire. This being loves diablerie and will eventually take over your body once you've done it enough.
Chris looks thoughtful for a moment. He's always known this Dark Passenger was here. He gives it his own name, but he didn't know it was part of him, merely an affectation of his sire's will to control him, or, well, as she said, it was the will of Set. But he listens after a few minutes of looking away and simply nods in understanding.
Now, that group, that sect, they have a group known as the Serpents of the Light. They have a mighty fire within them to destroy their counterpart, the Setites. And so it's not an uncommon tactic for them to snatch people, let them escape, thinking that they have been embraced and tortured, or whatever malignant thing that they've done by a Setite to set, essentially they're like sleeper agents out into the world to bring down their enemy. They're Caribbean masters of arts, mystical, dealing with spirits sometimes. But um, I would assume uh, that, given what you've told me, that this is probably one of their machinations.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard of these Serpents of the Light before, but my sire, well, she was known by others. I was taken again because of my own foolishness in New York, and she came to try and collect me. The high priest at the time believed her a failure of their little cult, and so didn't want to let me go. It was only by luck and happenstance I used that as a distraction to disappear.
I don't find it unlikely that you were caught in New York, as there's a strong Sabbat stronghold in New York, and so their agents would be able to let her know where to find you. However, your feelings could be valid. I work with a different part of the clan of Set altogether. Um, they are not like their brothers. I follow with them the ancient ways of the Aztec warrior. Proud. We do not corrupt. We seek glory in battle, and we seek to rectify uh, the wrongs and let the blood of our enemies prove the justice that we desire to show.
Chris is going to try and do a perception empathy on you during this because he's quite confused. What's my name again? Excuse me.
Hmm?
Only one. Because he's going to try to feel the truth because he's seen manipulators and he's Setite, so he's not entirely going to trust that there are other good Setites out there. Coin of best.
This is definitely part of the Kool-Aid that he drank, but he is naturally a guarded person as a gargoyle. So go ahead and roll me 5 dice as well.
Okay.
And this isn't really necessarily for deception. It's just he is guarded and difficult to read.
Mm-hmm.
However, you obviously did get more rolls. He seems that he's trying to keep his face very impassive and difficult to read, but there's a slight widening in his eyes and a little fervor there, and he believes that the Setite group that he is following is going to help him get vengeance, and that's what he's learning to do, and that's why he does it.
How can you show that you can trust him? I mean, you just told me that this other group of Setites could be the ones that are taking me for their own nefarious purposes, or it could have been the original Setites, who are all bastards in my eyes anyway.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that this group isn't just using you?
Faith. I was in Mexico. They fought to help me live. There was no reason for them to fight. I was actually cornered by these Serpents of the Light when these Setites came out and screamed of vengeance and screamed of their brethren who were being, destroyed by them. And they easily could have let me die and could have let me soften them up, but they chose not to. And they educated me in the ways of the ancient Aztec. And they don't ask anything in return. They educate me. They assist me.
Well, having a ally such as you on their side against their enemy does serve them, even if indirectly.
That's true. However, you have to understand. Um, think of this city with two to three times the number of kindred. That's Mexico City where I was.
This place is chaotic enough as it is.
Oh, truly I understand. But even against knowing these odds and the danger that it represents to assist me, they did so.
Alright, okay. They're not down with the snakes. I can buy that, but what about all these other people? Like, just went to a bar, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Saw you, well, not as you are now, but I saw you walk into a bar and I followed you just as to get a drink, and then everyone started going a little bit too heavy.
I used the power that I used to ensure that more brutal things weren't done to you. Because I believe that you're not a sleeper. I believe that you're confused. And should that be my downfall, I accept that. But Henri is new to his position. The one that you dealt with originally. He's the one that shrunk your legs.
He looks at his, like, disheveled legs in sort of disgust and goes, okay, what other weird shit can these people do?
Well, he is a Nosferatu. He has different skills. He can turn to ash. He can make you hideous. He can become invisible. Many kindred have many different gifts.
Alright. What I'm understanding is, well, thanks for sticking your neck out for me. I know it's not probably in your best interest. I know there was a little bit of a tete-a-tete with the guy with the face.
Yes. Well,
But I understand you're, like, not part of that. You're, like, a merc.
yes. I keep my independence so that I can do what's necessary. They work within confines. They have to work within the rules of being told what they can and can't do. They have to politic and jockey for position so that they can sleep easier at night. I don't do these things. I work for who I want when I want, and I push my own agenda as I need.
Sounds like you've got it in the bag.
It comes with risks. You're at the will of the greater side. Obviously, whoever's more powerful, if they don't like you, there's always a chance that you could die. But I've lived thus long, so.
Alright.
I felt in you what was in me. A kindred without direction that needed assistance. I'd like to give you direction, and I'd like to give you assistance.
People who get close to me generally die.
I have a similar track record.
I was not always alone. Fell in with some good guys in Boston. Bruja, I think they call themselves. Part of a revolution of some sort. They were thugs and fools most of the time, but they stuck together. Foolish enough to get in on my little personal crusade, and, well, things happen in this life. I'm sure you know you've been here a lot longer than I have, and no matter how safe you feel, they're always just behind you.
Quite so. That's why I keep what I am secret. And that's why you should keep what you are secret as well.
everyone uses all these terms and watch phrases. It's so easy. Like, I mean, I used to be an undercover cop. Like, you want someone to be a gang member? I can do it from East Coast, West Coast, foreign national. I can even do it in like South American gang sign. But this life, there's no rule book. There's no how-to. There's no guide. There's no one who can actually tell you what's going on. Half the things I was told by my sire, or other people don't understand or want to kill me for. Maybe they're right. Maybe this is a giant prison.
It is if you let it be. The thing that you have to realize about our existence is that it's theoretically eternal. And to varying degrees, some people succeed in that, lasting longer. I live my life as a soldier. I find things that need to be done, and I do them. And I never compromise what I feel are my values.
And what are your values?
Protect the weak. I make sure that at any point in time in which I feel like someone is being enslaved against their will, because some people very well need slavery and choose to stay in it, and I won't begrudge them. If that's their wish, I allow them to do that. But when someone is being forced against their will to be enslaved, I do my best to fix that. I do whatever I can to subvert those that seek to I guess the best way to put it, to undermine what is best for society.
How can you tell the difference? There were times when I was mortal, I did some horrible things for that woman, and I loved every second of it. Looking back now, I hate myself.
I understand.
Whether people truly want to be enslaved, if that's the way they want to live, or if it's just they don't know anything else.
I provide situations for people. Sometimes I destroy the person who's bonding them. And if I see them run and go and find someone else to be bonded to, I know they're not ready. That's not my choice to do. Like the Sabbat. They seek to destabilize this domain. There are many fine kindred here. There are bad kindred here, but there are many good kindred here as well. I have to stop them. Even if the prince didn't pay me, I would attempt to stop them. Because it's what's needed. Soon they'll bleed this city dry, destroy the kindred, glut on their souls. I can't let that happen.
There are like hundreds of them, I heard you saying.
Yes.
You alright with that?
I can't help the fact that there are hundreds of them. I just have to solve it.
He smiles, actually, sort of shaking his head, and then laughing, and then starts to laugh at the absurdity of the situation. That he's talking to a like 6 foot, 7 foot tall rock creature, who thinks quite a lot like him, in the fact that they're both as bullheaded as each other. Yeah, I suppose. That's just the way it rolls.
Yes. I'm not an idiot. You don't fight 100 people as a one-man army. That's why I've decided to do the war council with the prince. I will take these kindred in their different factions and clans and groups, and I'll force them to work together to accomplish goals. We're fighting an army. We'll cut off their food. An army can only last as long as there's food to support it. Then we'll make it difficult for them to exist in the night. Perhaps we'll put patrols on. We'll do renovations down by the docks and provide more street lights. We make their lives inconvenient, and then we start picking them off, and if we can do it, a mass scale raid. I'm good at what I do. And I would make you good at what I do and see that you have more purpose than wondering how long you have to last in this shell of an existence that you're in now.
Thinks about it for a little bit. What's the catch?
He legitimately, turns his head to the side and looks up and thinks hard for a minute. You have to want to be good. And you have to stay with me for as long as I fight this good fight. Slowly, the ravages of doing what must be done, killing these people, if something has to be blown up and I have to kill hundreds of kindred, it'll weigh on me. And I may not be able to handle what's happening. And one day I might lose myself to my beast. And you'll have to kill me. You bear the burden of trying to find a way to destroy me when the time comes.
He leans back, taking in what you said. Not one to jump to any decision, especially not one to trust someone. But this request is way beyond what he expected. Kindred that he has met are selfish and short-sighted. And this one, he's not sure whether he's as mad as a Malkavian he knows very well, or the most sane person he's met so far. I won't stop hunting them.
You do that on your own time.
But I very well can't hunt them if the streets are awash with blood. Besides, a very good friend, although I'd never tell her that, told me I should perhaps start trusting people a bit more. So when he says sort of shrugging, is to trying something new.
He'll grin and he will clasp you on the shoulder, and it seems that he may be a little overly excited, and it's painful. He is. You can tell there's elation on his face, but he's gripping you a little too hard. And if you wince or something, he'll kind of realize and ease up.
Oh, hell. Well, there's only 100 of them. With 2 of us.
Yes, only makes it 50 each, yes. Well, it may be closer to 200. I'm not sure.
Oh, well. You never want it to be too easy. It gets boring that way.
He says, quite so.
Although, wars can't be fought without resource. And he has a wicked grin on his face. You know where stores a lot of resource it's never touched?
Oh, what's that?
Temples.
Quite so. I'm sure I could dig up the location on some.
And I think... he pauses for a moment because he can't quite recall your name or what people called you because of his various states of in and out of consciousness. As he just goes, New friend. Let's see how far this goes. Cheers.
John will smile and say cheers. And then he'll just kind of casually point over to a corner that's grimy and dirty and say, you can sleep over there. And he equally goes over to some grimy spot in the sewer and kind of hunkers down. I'm going to rest for a bit. I may go out. You're more than willing to. If you can crawl out, I'll let you leave.
He looks at his legs. You know there's motels, right?
Yes, motels require money. I don't keep much of that.
Ah. Okay.
But if you want a suitable home, I'll provide you with one. He's kind of waving his hand back and forth like he doesn't feel it's necessary.
Okay, we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, that's the scene.